the first column is an ID, right?
Mhm.
And it's a primary key, and it's auto incremented for you. And the reason we need a primary key
Is to keep all of them or all of our data, what's it called? Like specified? Not the word. That's not the word. Just like have everything have its own identity.
exactly. So the whole row needs to be unique, right? And if
Mhm.
you differentiate it by one column, then that makes that whole row unique. That's called the first level of normalization.
Okay.
So the first level of database normalization is that every single row in that table has to be unique, even if it's by one column. That one column gives it a unique identity. All right.
Mhm.
Now, in the past, I think for the address book, you were just using varchar, right?
Yeah.
And you'll notice that we have nvarchar now.
Mhm.
So nvarchar is the same thing as varchar, but varchar is a single byte storage. In other words, it doesn't take any foreign characters. You can't do like Spanish letters, or you can't use French or Chinese or anything like that. It's just the regular US alphabet. No accents, nothing. In order to get those accents, you need a double byte storage. So nvarchar allows you to store double byte characters, which is your accented letters, your Chinese letters, um, things like that. You can store it in there. And because we're going to have names that may have accents on them, like Francois, that's like the C with the little,
Yeah.
number 5 under it in order to get that schwa, the sound on it. Those are the types of letters that require double byte storage. So nvarchar 50 in reality is varchar 100 because you're storing 2 bytes for every 1 byte of character. The same thing with notoriety, right? We did an nvarchar because we don't know what is actually going to be stored in there. So we're going to need that double byte. We may have accented characters. We may have some weird characters that we need to store. So we'll do the double bytes. And my rule of thumb is never allow nulls. But in this table, I'm allowing 1 null for date of death. Why do you think that's important to allow nulls for that?
There might add somebody that's not dead yet.
Exactly. And we really don't know. As far as a date is concerned, what would you put to indicate that they're not dead?
Yeah.
Because there's like, for example, when you have a name, you could leave it empty, right? It doesn't have to be a null. But there is no such thing as an empty date
Mhm.
because dates have existed since the beginning of time. However you want to look at it, whether you want to go based on the Gregorian calendar, whether you want to go based on the Julian calendar, whether you want to go based on the Jewish calendar. I mean, there's just all these calendars, right? But there's always some type of date on there. And so there's no such thing as an empty date. There could be a null, which means that null basically means it's not available. The data is not available.
Mhm.
And that's the case in date of death, is that if a person is still alive, then the data is not available for the date of death. So that's the only, in cases like this, is when you want to allow for the null to be stored in the database. And so,
Got it.
does that make sense? Does this make sense to you?
Mhm.
Cool. Let's go ahead and save this and give it the name birth dates.